She was a 5-time pursuit and a 2-time road race world champion. The winner of 96 national titles. For 25 consecutive years, the Road Time Trial Council's best all-rounder. Victorious on track and tarmac, and a world record holder to this day. This is the story of forgotten British cyclist Beryl Burton, one of the greatest riders of all time.
For me, growing up with her, she was just my mum, so nothing really stood out because I knew she was a cyclist. I knew that she did all these great things because people congratulated her and sent her telegrams and all things like this. But there wasn't a particular thing that stood out. Our whole life was cycling. That's basically all we did. Social side of it was cycling, the racing side was cycling, the touring side. I got taken out in a sidecar, in a seat, on a ram trailer, and then I finally got my own bike. I was only about 9, so that was it then. I was on my own.
Denise Burton Cole is a British national champion and world championship medalist in her own right. But then, being the daughter of the late Beryl Burton, cycling was always likely to run in her blood. Her mother remains arguably the greatest female cyclist Britain has ever seen. Perhaps Beryl's most remarkable achievement was set in 1967, when she rode 277.25 miles in 12 hours. It smashed the women's world record and still stands some 47 years on. Beryl broke the men's record of the day too, overtaking the leading male cyclist Mike McNamara en route.
The men were put off first and the ladies were put off after the men, thinking that that would be a safe bet to do. And she got so far down, through the event, and she realised that Mike McNamara was up the road. She could see him and she didn't know what to do. She panicked a bit. And anyway, she decided that as she passed him, the least she could do is offer him one of her sweeties what were in her pocket, which were licorice all sorts. And he just said, "Ta, love," and she passed him and left him,
Born in 1937 to a working-class family in Leeds, West Yorkshire, Beryl lived in the nearby area of Morley throughout her life. As a child, she suffered chronic health problems, including rheumatic fever, which led to a stay of 15 months in hospital and a convalescent home. However, on taking a job at a local clothing factory as a 15-year-old, Beryl was introduced to cycling by the man she would later marry, Charlie Burton. After joining the Morley Cycling Club, Beryl won her first national medal in 1957, silver, in the 100-mile time trial. Current British rider Emma Pooley, who was the time trial world champion in 2010, puts Beryl's achievements into context.
Beryl Burton must have been incredibly dedicated. I mean, I know from the amount I have to train and how much energy it takes up and that it takes over your life, It's not just a 9-to-5 job. And when you look at her record for the 12-hour time trials, that still stands. I mean, people still do those races, so that means with all the modern equipment, people still can't beat her time, and that's incredible. I mean, she was riding on a sort of an old-fashioned bike with, nothing was as high-tech as it is now. I mean, it was a good bike for its day, I'm sure, but that's pretty impressive.
Well, we're tough, aren't we? We must be in Yorkshire. I think we have produced a lot of good cyclists, and in the early days, she worked on the farm, and she was doing a hard labourer's job. So in a way, she was doing weight training. I mean, she was picking up big bunches of rhubarb, bending and picking, and all sorts of really grafting work. So she was doing weight training, wasn't she, in a way?
Self-funded and with no formal coaching, Beryl was the first woman to go under 1 hour for 25 miles, under 2 hours for 50 miles, and under 4 hours for 100 miles. Her 12-hour time trial record stood for 2 years before a man finally beat it. In an age when cycling received little media exposure, women's cycling even less so, Beryl Burton's devotion and competitive spirit was unmatched. Resolutely proud of her amateur status, she was supported financially by husband Charlie, who was with her at every turn of the wheel.
I think it's really important to tell Beryl Burton's story because she was an incredible British athlete. She really was just incredible, and I don't think many people have heard of her. I mean, I hadn't heard of her until a few years ago, and I'm a cyclist, because she never made a penny out of it. You know, it just cost her a lot of money. So I think that's a good thing. That should inspire people because, you know, you don't do it for the money and you don't look and think, well, I'm never going to earn millions from it, so I won't bother. It's not about that. Sport isn't about making money. It's about sport and enjoying it and being healthy as well.
Well, her reward was actually doing the events and winning them. That's all she wanted. She loved cycling. She loved cycling, she loved going out riding a bike up through the dales, she loved racing, she loved beating people. And back, I think more in her day, there was a lovely scene within the cycling world. Well, it was nice because she knew everybody and everybody knew you. And I suppose it helped, you know, my mum being my mum and everything as well. She enjoyed it. She really, really enjoyed it. And she enjoyed the the event scene as well because everybody's chat, you know.
Beryl Burton died in 1996 on the eve of her 59th birthday. She suffered heart failure while delivering invitations to her birthday party by bike. Made an officer of the Order of the British Empire in 1968, this year Beryl was posthumously awarded the freedom of the city of Leeds. And it was from her home county that the 2014 Tour de France departed, winding its way around 242 miles of the epic Yorkshire landscape, which was Beryl's training ground. To accompany this historic occasion, a play written by Maxine Peake, simply titled Beryl, has been performed at the West Yorkshire Playhouse, with Penny Layton playing the lead role.
There's something very extraordinary about championing a local champion. I just think it's really important that people know about her. The word ordinariness sounds reductive, but the fact that she was a normal woman who, you know, was a housewife and a homemaker, loved baking, was an ordinary woman. And I really don't mean that in a reductive sense at all. But I think that makes it all the more extraordinary in terms of her achievements. But the fact that she's just a real Yorkshire woman, actually, is what I've tried to kind of really hang on to.
Quite overwhelming in a way. It's lovely. Me and my dad are so thrilled. It's an honour, and she deserves it because of all her achievements. She definitely deserves something to have happened.
We had lots of people standing in the audience, and it was like a kind of Mexican wave effect, where all these people were getting up and getting up and getting up, and it was very, very moving. And not in a sense of, oh, they think we're wonderful, they're just clapping my performance. It wasn't that. It was also, they were applauding Beryl. It felt very much like they were going, yes. For her, there was a real kind of duality in the room, which is sort of intangible, but you just feel it somehow.
This weekend, the 2014 Tour de France reaches its conclusion. In an age when cycling is enjoying greater popularity than ever before, and success in the sport can bring many rewards, it's important to celebrate the achievements of those who went before. Beryl Burton took women's cycling to a new level. Her records changed perspectives of what could be achieved, and her story remains an inspiration to this day.
She was an ordinary, down-to-earth person, and yet she achieved what she did with the world medals, with the competition records and all this. And I'm hoping that people will, you know, young aspiring women cyclists especially, will look at this and think, well, I can do that too, because she did it from being just a regular person and she achieved it. So why can't I?
Subscribe now to our YouTube channel for the very best of Trans World Sports.